For more updates, let's cross over to Sharm el-Sheikh and speak with Rise correspondent Adesuwa Giwa-Osagie. Great to have you, Adesuwa. Adesuwa, what is happening? We've concluded a peace deal about Israel and the Palestinians in Gaza, but that deal was not signed by Israel and the Palestinians. Other nations signed on their behalf. That's number one. Secondly, we don't even know how Gaza will be run. Technically, Hamas has taken over again.
Yes, good morning, Rafai. Good morning, Ayo. It's lovely to see you guys this morning. As you said, what is going on? Since the ceasefire deal has been announced, Israel has actually, it's been reported, killed at least 15 Palestinians. They did say that 5 were approaching the yellow line, which is a line, a demarcation that they should not cross. Approaching the IDF is what the IDF said. However, this line is not actually visible on ground. It just appears on maps. And on the Palestinian side, they said that these people were going home. Beyond that, we've also seen reports that in the occupied West Bank, an Israeli settler has kidnapped 4 Palestinians. That's being reported by the Middle East Eye in the past hour. The Israeli Times is saying that the U.S. and Israel is working on creating safe zones within Gaza for Palestinians that might be afraid of Hamas. We've seen over the weekend and last couple of days clashes between Hamas and other armed groups. Now, as you said, we do not actually know the finite details of what is going to happen in Gaza. Rather, as we stand today, the IDF and Israel still occupies at least 50% of the Gaza Strip. And we've also heard mixed reports about what is going on with the Rafah crossing. Now, the latest report that's come out in the last 30 minutes is that Israel says that the Rafah crossing will be open for the movement of people. That's the crossing between Gaza and Egypt, but that it's not going to happen now. It would happen later. When it comes to aid trucks, they said that the aid trucks will be required to pass through these singular points they're passing through right now. Now, the ceasefire agreement required 600 aid trucks to get into Gaza every day. Right now, they're seeing only about 300, and not all those trucks are aid trucks. They're actually commercial trucks. And so this question about, where we are headed, you asked, is a very important question. And yes, Hamas and Israel were not direct signatories. However, they are essentially kind of going along with this ceasefire deal that was agreed, primarily brokered by the U.S. President Donald Trump.
All right, so there's still reports that the U.S. is trying to downplay the threats to this peace deal, especially because Hamas is saying they're giving conditions for returning the hostages the bodies of the hostages that are not alive. And Israel is saying that they might not open the crossing if Hamas continues to delay or drag its feet to the return of these bodies. What's your, being on ground, what's the mood like? I know they're trying to manage information, which is important, but are you optimistic based on this slowing down, as it were, following the successes that have been recorded in the first few days with hostages being released, but now there's a slowing down? Is there any blockade, as it were, in this peace deal?
Yeah, you're very right there in terms of this idea that there might not be a lot of goodwill between Hamas and Israel, particularly on the return of the dead bodies. Now, what the U.S. President Donald Trump actually has said is that he believes that Hamas is digging, they're digging, and it's a gruesome task ahead because, Hamas has said that these bodies are buried under rubble. They've recently said that they have returned everybody that they were able to do, and that even some of the point people, essentially maybe the kidnapping medium points between the kidnappers and Hamas and where the people were housed, that even some of those people have gone missing and are under rubble. It's very important to note that the UN did say that at least there are thousands of Palestinians buried under the rubble, that they're looking for those 19 Israelis. Now, the last 2 hostages that were returned, one was in the Nova Music Festival, according to the Israeli military, and she was 27 years old, and they're saying that she was killed at the festival and her body was taken into Gaza. And the second person who was returned overnight is an Israeli combatant, semi-combatant, they said, and he was 39. But it also shows that it would be quite difficult to reach these bodies. It does seem like the international community, with France, with the United States, are trying to are believing Hamas in some way. The mediators do seem to believe Hamas that it's will be difficult to receive these bodies, but we do require a lot of goodwill and a lot of hope that this ceasefire remains standing.
Absolutely, and I believe there's also now a reward that has been put out for those who are able to assist to recover some of those remains of the Israeli hostages. But now let's look at the stabilization force. So, of course, we do know that Donald Trump has confirmed that 200 U.S. troops will join the stabilization force, along with contributions from other countries as well. How much progress have they made with regards to confirming the stabilization force and plans to get the stabilization force into Gaza, as well as what is the response to Hamas being used as a police force?
You're asking about the progress made on the stabilization force. Now, France Foreign Minister yesterday, Jean-Noel Barrot, said that France, the UK and the US are going to present a resolution at the UN Security Council to essentially formalize the stabilization force to Gaza. Now, the stabilization force is expected to be made out of forces from France, from the UK, from the US and Arab states, are essentially supposed to go into the Gaza Strip and go into that region and ensure that there is a peace in the region and ensure there's some type of stability. But as I said, we are getting mixed reports, because on the side, the Israeli Times are reporting that the US and Israel are working together to even try and create a safe zone or their own force within the Gaza Strip to protect citizens of Gaza or Palestinians from Hamas. So there is certainly a lot of moving parts here. The final details have not been decided, but again, France has said as well that they will be co-hosting a conference here in Egypt to finalize these details of phase 2 and the later phases of the Gaza ceasefire plan.
So much for a brilliant report there. Adesuwa, Giwa-Osagie, stay safe. I look forward to hearing from you even more, giving us the details and the progress of this ceasefire deal. What the world, especially the principal actors, are looking forward to is peace at last. Even though it's fragile currently, we're hoping that the peace will last. Thank you.